Good morning, students. Today we're going to roll down our next topic, that is fermentation technology. Fermentation technology, actually this is the process of growing microorganism in a nutrient media by maintaining physicochemical conditions and thereby converting feed into a desired end product. Fermentation is a biochemical reaction, you can say, in which the microorganism survey perform its role better as a biocatalyst, wherein microorganisms are designed to produce different uh, pharmaceuticals such as antibiotics, enzymes, amino acids, insulin, vitamins, etc. Microorganisms are also useful in these fermentations are bacteria, actinomycetes, viruses, and fungi. Here there are the different types of definition of fermentation, you can say, are widely used. First is your metabolism. Metabolism is nothing but a energy generating processes where organic compounds acts as both electron donor and acceptor too. Next is industrial biotechnology. Industrial biotechnology is the process by which the large quantities of cells are grown under aerobic or anaerobic conditions. The industrial microorganisms are grown under the different types of control conditions with an aim of optimizing the growth of organism for production of target microbiological product. Fermentation is carried out in vessels known as the fermenter. This fermenter are mainly used for the growth of prokaryotic cells such as bacteria, actinomycetes, etc. And bioreactors are used for growth of eukaryotic cells such as insects, mammalian cells, etc. These fermenters also differ from bioreactors in their parts such as agitators and the mixers. The selection of good medium is very important to the success of an industrial fermentation. There are the different types of fermenter, ranges from simple tank to complex integrated system of automated control are available. This is a typical fermentation process wherein in first half we'll have to complete the primary screening as well as this secondary screening, wherein different types of raw material which is required to achieve the desired quality products as far as fermentation product is concerned. So in this both this step, primary screening and secondary screenings are duly uh, perform its own role for the better selection of raw material, including inoculum medium too. After the proper selection of primary and secondary screening, the strain improvement is the major uh, crucial stage, you can say, uh, wherein you can develop your own strain for the proper product of your fermentation. Then after strain improvement there is a selection of active strain. So whatever the improvement we have done before in the third stage, so from that we'll have to identify or ascertain the active strain which will be the part for the your inoculum development. After the inoculum development, the medium screening has been done, and lastly the optimization of this step it's been carried out. After the optimization, the inoculum as well as your different types of raw materials will have to feed into the fermentation tank where the actual fermentation process is goes on. After the fermentation, we'll have to harvest the fermented product, that is you can say in situ product. After harvestation, you will have to isolate the cell separation with respect to the biomass collection as well as cell free supernatant. If you have isolated the biomass, then from that biomass you will have to expose it for the different types of the downstream processing as well as the upstream processing. But after the cell separation, if the cell-free supernatant, if it is observed, then this cell-free supernatant will have to expose for the extraction process. And after the successful extraction process, the product purification has been done. This product purification is the part of your downstream process, and after the completion of this downstream processing, the fermented product it's been ready. After the fermentation product it's got obtained, that formulation is ready to launch into the market. The process of fermentation typically divided into the number of sections, that is inbound logistic, then upstream processing, downstream processing, and outbound logistic. In case of inbound logistic, the delivery and storage of raw material is being carried out. As far as upstream processing is concerned, this processing is applicable for the raw materials for their fermentation. This fermentation where the major conversion occurs. As far as downstream processing is concerned, that is DSP, the purification and concentrating of raw material, these kind of the steps are mainly takes place. The fourth one is your outbound logistic. This logistic step which is mainly concerned about the final packaging, storage and delivery of the purified products. Then stages of industrial fermentation. The main stage of this industrial fermentation which mainly include the upstream processing and downstream processing. Upstream processing, there are three main steps are there in case of upstream processing. First is producer microorganism, then fermentation media and the fermentation process. In case of first one, producer microorganism, these include process for the obtaining a suitable microorganism strain improvement to increase the productivity and yield, maintenance of strain purity for the preparation of suitable inoculum. In case of downstream processing, this process mainly consists of the cell harvesting, then cell disruption, and third one is your product purification from the cell extract or the growth of the medium. This is the actual or typical you can say the depiction of actual fermentation process, which mainly include the upstreaming process as well as the downstream process. After the completion of this downstream process, you will get the desired fermented product. As far as your upstream processing is concerned, before couple of slides we had seen that the typical representation of the fermentation process, wherein primary screening and secondary screening was the crucial part. So here in case of upstreaming process, we'll have to select the appropriate microorganism for the suitable growth. Then its initial isolation and strain improvement, what we had seen in the third step of the that typical presentation, typical process presentation. After the strain improvement, we'll have to collect the active strain for the next step. After the collection of this sort of process or the steps, you can say, this strain will have to develop it for the inoculum development, which will have to expose it for the, or you can say that we'll have to keep it ready for the next fermentation process. In another hand, we'll do have the fermentation raw material, which include mainly the sources of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur, then minor elements, traces elements, growth factors, water, etc. Depending upon the some sort of factors, that is availability of raw material, then cost of it, stability of this raw material, then pre-treatment and sterilization requirement. By considering these all factors, we'll have to find out or ascertain, or you can say optimize the fermentation raw material, which will be the part of our next actual fermentation process. After the media development, we'll have to select it for the three different types of the medium. Then first one is your propagation medium, then maintenance medium, and third one is your production actual medium, that will have to expose it for the actual fermentation product. Propagation medium, it is really related with your microorganism, where in you will going to prepare next the starter culture propagation, and then your production medium. The production medium and the starter culture propagation will have to feed accordingly or simultaneously into the fermentation tank by maintaining the control parameter, that is oxygen level, then pH control, then foam formation, then cooling and heating of the fermenter. Actually, in case of the fermentation, by looking towards by maintaining the control parameter, there are the different types of the parameters are also being considered, that is which are really going to be supported or suspended for the proper growth of microorganism. Then what type of fermenter you are using, then stirring mechanism will have to considered, then size and geometry of the fermenter you are using for, then mode of operation, and finally the instrumentation and automation. So this is nothing but the actual process before going to start to your fermentation cycle. Here, when we'll going to finish up these feeding into the fermentation tank line, then we will have to followed by the harvestation actual process, which we had seen in the last slide, that is related with your downstream processing, which influenced by the product concentration and stability. Other considerations are yield at each step, process cost, and purity requirement. In case of downstream processing, mainly this is nothing but your in situ DSP and ex situ DSP. In situ DSP, that is downstream processing, ex situ DSP, that is ex situ downstream processing. Apart from that, the cell separation, centrifugation, or the filtration are also the different types of the step which can be supported for the downstream processing. If the cell separation it's been done, but if the cell separation is required for the further harvestation, which including the different types of the waste, then that time we'll have to go for the harvesting process. As far as harvested cells is concerned, we'll have to expose it either for the intracellular product formation or either for the biomass collection, that is nothing but waste, biomass waste, if product is extracellular. As far as intracellular or the periplasmic product is concerned, that intracellular product will have to expose it for the cell disruption, then for the centrifugation and the with the help of ultrafiltration, the cell debris will have to isolate, and we'll have to move forward for the next step, that is cell free extract or as well as the inclusion bodies. With this step we'll have to hold this step for a while, because when the cell separation if it is done and the spin medium if we wanted to use further, then it is applicable for the extracellular product only. So after collection of the extracellular product, we'll have to maintain the concentration steps therein. After the maintenance of the concentration step, we'll have to move forward to maintain the medium concentration. Once the cell-free extract, inclusion bodies and the medium concentrate, this step if it will be achieved, if you could see in the diagram at the bottom level, then you are able to see that cell-free extract, inclusion bodies and the medium concentrate will have to expose it for the different types of the downstream processing parameters to achieve the desired product, that is dialysis, precipitation, partitioning, then chromatographic steps for the different types of isolation, ultrafiltration, distillation, etc. So this is all about the primary recovery what we have discussed before, and whatever the parameters are there apart from the DSP, which is your product purification step. And next step is your finishing process, wherein you will have to take the utmost precaution as far as crystallization step is concerned. We'll have to expose the product for the drying, lyophilization, sterile filtration and packaging, etc. So this is all about when we talk regarding the biomass waste, cell debris and some sort of the waste which really going to be obtained while expose it for the dialysis, precipitation, etc, etc. So that is nothing but the waste we have to collect in the form of effluent, and at last after carried out this kind of strategy, will ultimately get the finished product at last. So this is really your fermentation process, or you can say the types of fermenter where the selection of these different types of the fermenter are totally depend upon the different types of your objectives and the aims. These fermenters are available in various sizes, and their sizes are defined on the total volume of capacity of the fermenter. According to the size, and fermenters are classified on the basis of different types of parameter. Say for example, small laboratory and research fermenter. For that purpose, the fermenter which having the capacity to 1 to 50 liters, then that kind of fermenters are useful for the small laboratory as well as research fermenter. If your fermenter capacity, if it is 50 to 1000 liters, then that fermenters may be useful for the pilot plant fermenter. Then large size industrial fermenter, large scale fermenter, which having the capacity more than 1000 liters too. As far as the small scale fermenters are concerned, they are autoclavable, while large scale fermenters are sterilized by in situ sterilization. These small laboratory fermenters are designed to provide varying conditions for the growth of microorganisms and are adjusted to provide the similar growth conditions mainly found in the largest industrial production tanks. Broadly, the fermenter are also classified as submerged fermenter as well as surface fermenter. If you could see in the chart, that submerged fermenter is again divided into the three main parts, that is mechanically stored fermenter, then forced convection fermenter and pneumatic fermenter. Mechanically stored fermenter is again divided into the two major parts, that is batch operated fermenter and continuous stored tank fermenter. Today in our presentation, next slides which consist of mainly the batch operated fermenter explanation as well as continuous stored tank fermenter. Apart from the submerged fermenter, there is another fermenter, that is surface fermenter, which is bifurcated into the two types, that is tray fermenter and packed bed column fermenter. The types of fermentation process which mainly include the continuous reactors, where the fresh media is continuously added and bioreactors fluid is continuously removed. As a result, cells continuously receive the fresh medium, and products and waste products and cells are continuously removed for processing. The reactor can thus be operated for long periods of time without having to be shut down, many times more productive than batch. Next is your there are some sort of factors are also responsible for the fermentation process to achieve the desired product. This fermenter which does not have to be shut down as regularly. The growth rate of the bacteria in the reactor can be more easily controlled and optimized. The cells can also be immobilized in continuous reactors to prevent their removal. The fed batch reactor, which most common type of reactor used in the industry nowadays. Fresh media is a continuous or sometimes periodically added. The batch fermentation process, it is related to your steady state step, which having different types of the advantages like less risk of the contamination or the cell mutation because of short growth period, then more flexibility with the different product and the biological system, then process is more economical and simple, and last one is your raw material conversion level is more. But at the outset, when we talk regarding the disadvantage of the batch fermentation, then there are few disadvantages are also there, that is low productivity due to the time required for the sterilizing, filling, cooling, emptying and cleaning, etc. Second is more expenses are required for the subcultures for the inoculation, labor and process control. Then third is your more focus on the instrumentation due to the frequent sterilization. And last limitation related with the batch fermentation is larger industrial hygiene risk due to the potential contact with pathogenic microorganism. So this is really focused one when we can talk regarding the batch fermentation process, as often the critical parameter is gas exchange or the balance between the respiration rate and the oxygen transfer, etc. Sterilized media components are supplied at the beginning of the fermentation with no addition feed their inoculation. The batch fermentation process, which mainly consists of the cells which are really grown in a batch reactor, they go through a series of stages, that is lag phase, exponential phase, stationary phase, and death phase. We will see these different types of the phases. We're going to learn much more about these phases in upcoming slides. This is actually the fermentation process wherein we'll able to see the different types of the stages are really work together when we can focus on the different types of the parameters for the desirability of the product. So here in this diagram we are able to see the batch culture, actually how it works together. When a microorganism is added into the medium which supports its growth, the culture passes through a number of stages in batch process. A typical growth curve is obtained after the addition of microbial culture, and it passes through the lag, acceleration, log, stationary, accelerated death, exponential death, and at last the survival phase. The lag phase is the period of adaptation to new condition before growth. Transition from lag phase to exponential growth phase is interrupted by an acceleration phase. In the exponential phase, cell size increases and it divides into two and the cycle continues. Under the optimum condition, the growth rate in this phase is most rapid. The period of maximum growth rate is known as log or exponential phase, and the time required to complete the cell division is called as generation time. In the log phase, many microbial cells produce different metabolites as a result of every generating metabolism. Examples are lactic acids and ethanol, or the compounds required for the cell synthesis. Examples are amino acids, protein, vitamins, etc. Such products are called the primary metabolites. Growth rate in the log phase is expressed in terms of dx by dt is equal to mu x, wherein dx by dt is nothing but your population growth rate, wherein mu is nothing but your specific growth rate, and x is nothing but your cell concentration, and t is nothing but time of incubation. As far as the process concerned there in the batch process are, the lag phase perform its better role, that is microbial population remains constant as there is a no growth. However, it is the period of intense metabolic activity. There are the different types of numerous factors which can influence the lag phase, that is chemical composition, age of the inoculum, concentration of the inoculum, viability and morphology of the inoculum. As far as chemical compositions are concerned, they are in the lag phase, which having the main important role there in the fermentation. The chemical composition of the fermentation media which influences the length of lag phase. Longer the lag phase is observed if the inoculum is transferred into the fresh medium of different carbon sources. Age of the inoculum: if the inoculum is in the exponential growth phase, it will exhibit the shorter lag phase in the fresh medium, where in case of the exponential phase we are able to see the cell divides with increasing frequency till it reaches the maximum growth rate, that is mu max. At this point, logarithmic growth begins and the cell numbers or the cell biomass increase at a constant rate. This is nothing but your simple inoculum development method, wherein we always have to look forward for the freeze dried culture. As far as inoculum development is concerned, the microbial cells are required to inoculate large quantities of production medium in a large fermenter. A single loopful of culture can not meet the requirement of complete fermentation. Hence, the inoculum is prepared as a stepwise sequence employing increasing volume of media. The fermenter can be inoculated with a large quantity of actively growing microbial cells here. The size of the inoculum is normally between 1 to 10% by volume. The chemical composition of the inoculum medium may be different from the production medium. The main objective of this inoculum medium is to produce active biomass of the cells, and that of production medium is to produce the required fermentation product. So this inoculum must be available as actively growing cell, must be free from contaminants, wherein we are able to see here the microbial cells must pass through many generations during the inoculum production. It is possible for microbial cells to undergo mutation during inoculum development. Mutation does not possess a serious problem if the strain used in the fermentation is not mutant. So here we are able to see we have collected the freeze dried culture, we have to expose it for the working slant culture, and after the slant preparation of the slant culture, one loopful of the spores will have to transfer into the flask, that is shake flask culture. This is nothing but your first step where you are looking forward for the seed medium, that is your first seed medium. After the formation of the first seed medium, from these we have to take the required quantity of the culture and transfer into the large Erlenmeyer flask, that will be your second feed medium, second seed medium. After the preparation of the second seed medium, we directly have to incorporate this culture into the fermentation tank, wherein we move forward for the third seed medium. After the third seed medium, after the fermentation process, actually we'll have to expose this inoculum which have to added into the fermentation medium, and that will be quite helpful to you, you as a the research head, or you can say the researcher, to move forward for the fermentation process to get the desired quality of the product, wherein industrial important microorganisms are filamentous and are capable of producing the spores, that is fungi, actinomycetes and bacteria. Perhaps the initiation of the growth in the liquid inoculum medium depends upon the nature of microorganism. The bacterial cells or the spores are suspended in sterile diluents for transfer in the liquid inoculum medium. The Clostridium species often require the heat treatment to induce germination of the spores, and these spores of the fungi and actinomycetes are germinated by using the spatial medium. Then these germinated spores are transferred to the different types of inoculum medium preparation. So mathematically expression of the growth is, it can be based on the cell mass, that is denoted by X, or cell number by denoted as capital M. The rate of cell growth based on the cell biomass. The rate of change of biomass at a given time is dx by dt, that is your mu x, and mu is nothing but 1 by x into dx by dt. This x is nothing but concentration of the biomass, that is gram per liter, and mu is nothing but your specific growth rate, and t is nothing but your time required for the process. On integrating this equation, above equation, you will get this equation which meant for the exponential growth. By taking the natural log of this equation, you will get the equation 1.4 and equation 1.5. This equation is of the form y is equal to c, that is intercept on y-axis plus mx, that is y is equal to mx plus c, wherein mu is nothing but your gradient. Okay, so for cells in the exponential phase, a plot of natural log of biomass concentration against time, a semi-log plot should yield a straight line with the slope gradient which is equal to the mu. This is all about the exponential growth of the microorganism, wherein on y-axis you are able to see x and y-axis. The we'll have to plot the natural log, that is cell biomass or the cell numbers, towards the time plot. So the time which is actively contributed for the exponential growth of microorganism here in say around 75 minutes up to 150, that is 75 minutes are really required to maintain the actual cell numbers there in the system or the culture, which quite be required or essential for the exponential growth of the microorganism. So if the number of cells at the start of exponential growth is n0, if the cell population at the time of starting of exponential growth is 1, that is n0 is equal to 1, then undergoing binary fission, the number of cells after time t becomes nt, that is nt is given by the equation, that is nt is equal to 2n into capital N0. So capital N0 is nothing but initial population size, and small n is nothing but your number of generations or divisions. So taking natural logarithm gives these following equations. So growth rate or the division rate constant is the average number of generations per hour. So in industrial processes we need to know the generation time or doubling time rather than division rate constant. Generation time or the doubling time is the average time for the population to double or time taken for the one division. So this is the following equations which is at last obtained. So if we consider the different types of initial cell biomass to be x0, and after time t the microbial biomass doubles, that is xt is equal to 2x0, then t will be doubling the time, that is td. Substituting these parameters into the equation 3.1, so you will get the further sequence of the equations. So this monod showed that the growth rate is an approximate hyperbolic function of the concentration of the growth limiting nutrients. This impact of the essential nutrient depletion on growth can be described mathematically by the monod equation in a form similar to that used in biochemistry, where Michaelis-Menten kinetics defines the rate of an enzyme catalyzed reaction in relation to its substrate concentration. So which will be quite be helpful for the calculation of doubling the time on the basis of cell biomass. This is the exact relationship between the substrate concentration and the specific growth rate, where you will going to observe the specific growth rate will have to plot next to the substrate concentration. So at initial level, when we increase the substrate concentration, that is gram per ml, so at initial level it ooze out or it started for the specific growth which observed at during the initial period, but at certain level when the concentration of the substrate, if it is reached around 4 gram per liter, then the specific growth rate which will be not decline, you can say it will going to just turn from the growth, it will the growth will be ceased that time, and you will get the plateau. So afterwards, after the 4 gram per ml, the concentration when we are supposed to increase the specific growth rate, which will be form as a plateau. So the steady state concentration will be there. So though you will going to increase the substrate concentration, but perhaps the growth will not going to be obtained after the 4 gram per ml. So this is actually the relationship between the substrate concentration and the specific growth rate, which denoted by the equation which is shown in the slide, that is mu is equal to the mu max, that is into the s divided by ks plus s, where mu max, that is maximum specific growth per hour of the cell, that is when substrate concentration is not limiting. Capital S is nothing but concentration of limiting substrate, whereas Ks is your saturation constant, that is concentration is gram per liter, of limiting nutrient enabling growth at half of the maximum specific growth rate, that is mu is equal to half mu max, and is a measure of the affinity of the cells for this nutrient. When a microorganism is provided with the limiting substrate at a concentration greater than the Ks and with all other nutrients in excess, the microorganisms will grow exponentially at its maximum rate, that is when S is greater than super greater than Ks, then mu is nothing but your mu max. However, as the level of this substrate decreases, it eventually becomes limiting and can no longer sustain mu max. This is the beginning of the deceleration phase. As the residual concentration of the limiting substrate approaches Ks and then falls below this concentration, there is an accompanying gradual decrease in the growth rate. The growth rate of microorganism with a very high affinity for a rate limiting substrate, that is low Ks, will not be affected until the substrate concentration becomes very low. However, where there is a low affinity for the limiting substrate, then there will be no chances of the fermentation, which will really going to cease for the cell growth. The stationary phase, that is the specific growth rate of the microorganism, continues decelerating until the substrate is completely depleted, or growth rate has declined to 0 and there is no net change in the cell number biomass, that is rate of cell division equals to the rate of cell death. The microorganisms are still metabolically active, metabolizing intracellular storage compounds, utilizing nutrients released from lysed cell, and in certain cases produce secondary metabolites. And death phase is your cells died at constant rate and often undergo lysis. So this yield coefficient is your determined on the basis of quantity of your rate limiting nutrient, normally the substrate converted into the microbial product. In case of your biomass production, the yield coefficient relates to the quantity of biomass produced per gram of substrate utilized and is depicted by the equation x is equal to yx by s into capital S minus capital SR, where x is nothing but your biomass concentration, which will be expressed in terms of gram per liter. Yx by S is nothing but your yield coefficient, which will be denoted as G biomass per G substrate utilized. Capital S initial substrate concentration, which is measured in terms of gram per liter, and last is your SR, that is residual substrate concentration, which is expressed in terms of gram per liter. Therefore, the higher is the yield coefficient, the greater the percentage of the original substrate converted into the microbial biomass. In case of microbial metabolic products, the yield coefficient is related to the quantity of the metabolite produced in the relation to the quantity of the substrate used, that is Yp upon S. Determination of yield coefficient is important as it will decide how productive and how cost viable is the medium used. Since the cost of fermentation medium, particularly the carbon source, can be a significant proportion of the overall production cost, this in turn will affect the production cost. The specific growth rate and the maximum specific growth rate, which will be determined as mu and mu max, is very important, where we are talking about the product formation, which is totally depend upon the growth, that is your primary metabolite. To optimize the overall productivity of the system, the microorganism must usually be grown at its maximum potential. As previously stated, the operating substrate concentration has a major effect on the growth rate of a microorganism. by performing a series of batch fermentations, each with a different initial concentration of the limiting substrate. The specific growth rate mu for each experiments can be determined. This data can then be used to estimate both mu max and saturation constant, that is Ks, by simply taking the reciprocal of it. So this is the obtained equations after the reciprocation. So the concept of control in fermentation has its roots in the operation of chemostat, in which a continuous fermentation process is designed so that one nutrient will be limiting or controlling. Initially, the continuous fermentation started as batch culture. When the batch culture reaches the exponential growth phase, it can be extended indefinitely by continuous addition of fresh fermentation medium. The reactor is continuously stirred and a constant volume is maintained by incorporating an overflow ware or other living devices, which was depicted in the figure 1.6. This fresh medium is continuously added and displaces an equal volume of spent fermentation broth and cells at the same rate of fresh medium is introduced. So steady state conditions prevail where the rate of microbial cell growth equals to the rate at which the cells are displaced from the vessel. Fermentation growth rate is proportional to the dilution rate of the medium. So this is your continuous culture apparatus, wherein you are able to see the different types of the components are majorly seen in the diagram, that is nutrient reservoir, pump, air in, air out, sterile air filter, then overflow ware, and at last your harvest reservoir. So as with the batch fermentation, the specific rate at which the microorganism grows in continuous culturing is controlled by the availability of the rate limiting nutrients, wherein actual rate of growth depends not only on the volumetric flow rate of the medium into the reactor but also on the dilution rate. So this equals the number of reactor volume passing through the reactor per unit time and is reproduced in the unit of reciprocal times per hour. So consequently, at fixed flow rates and dilution rates under the constant physical and chemical operating conditions, that is under steady state condition, the specific growth rate of microorganism is dependent on the operating dilutions rate up to the maximum value equal to the mu max. If the dilution rate is increased above the mu max, complete washout of the cells occurs, as the cells have insufficient time to double before being washed out of the reactor by overflow, and the point at which this is just avoided is referred to as the critical dilution rate, that is CDR, or you can say dilution critics. So for any given dilution rate under the steady state condition, the residual substrate concentration in the reactor can be predicted by substituting the capital D for mu, the Monod equation. The residual substrate concentration in the reactor is controlled by the dilution rate. Alteration of the dilution rate results in the change in the growth rate of the cells that will be depend on the substrate availability at the new dilution rate. This growth is controlled by the availability of rate limiting nutrients, wherein the concentration of the rate limiting nutrient entering the system is fixed and is described as chemostat, as opposed to the operations as a turbidostat, where nutrients in the mediums are not limiting. In this case, the turbidity or the absorbance of the culture is monitored and maintained at a constant value by regulating the dilution rate. At low dilution rates with fixed substrate concentration, the residual substrate concentrations will be low. However, as capital D approaches the mu max, the residual substrate concentration increases along with the growth rate of the microorganism. So beyond the decrete, that is critical dilution factors, so input substrate concentrations will be equal to the output concentration, as all the cells have been lost from the system. So the concentration of biomass or the microbial metabolites in the continuous fermenter under the steady state condition can be related to the yield coefficient. So as far as the fermentation media is concerned, here there are the ideal characteristics of the fermentation medium. We should meet the different types of the criteria. So dear students, there are the different types of ideal characteristics of the fermentation mediums are there, like production of the maximum yield of product or the biomass in short duration. Then you can say the minimum yield of the undersized other products. Then it must be the simple suitable chemical composition of the production medium are required. Then free from any toxic effect on the culture or the product. Then that media must be based upon the low cost, good quality and easily available. Then raw material required for the production mediums are easily available at low cost. Nonetheless, the most suitable for the production process such as agitation, extraction, purification, waste treatment, etc. Not to forget the production medium which must be suitable for the adjustment pH, consistency and compositions too. The inhibition or showing of the growth contaminating microorganism. Not only this, but also it must allow the proper growth and maintenance of the genetically stability of active microorganism. And fermentation medium also form some sort of the foam. It must be minimum rather while production or during the production step. The media components must not interfere with the extraction and purification of desired product. By keeping in mind the composition of the fermentation medium may be simple or complex depending on the particular microorganisms, its nutritional needs and the product required. Students will also have to focus upon the synthetic medium where it contain the known components, and these media components are easily redesigned to increase the possible yield of the product. Foaming is not a problem of fermentation actually, which contains synthetic media, because these media do not contain any high molecular weight peptides and different types of proteins together or individually so. The purification of the fermentation products is also simple with the synthetic media. The synthetic media may expensive because of the high cost of the pure ingredients, and the yields obtained from these media are low. The crude or non-synthetic media mainly produce higher yield of fermentation products. Crude medium mainly contains soybean meal, blackstrap molasses and corn strip liquor as a source of carbon and nitrogen. And when we talk regarding the fermenter, the industrial microorganisms required to grow in large vessel containing considerable quantities of nutrient media by maintaining favorable condition. These conditions are called as fermenters. These fermenters provided the optimal growth and metabolism to microbial strain for the production of desired product. The term bioreactor is often used synonymously for the fermenter. Generally, these fermenters are used for the growth of prokaryotic cells, while bioreactors are used for the growth of eukaryotic cells. This design of the fermenters depend upon the different types of the purpose for which it is to be used, and the ideal fermentation should possesses the different types of the characteristics. Some are listed are the ideal fermenter should provide the best possible growth conditions to industrial strain, then it must make some provision for the control of contaminating microorganisms during the fermentation. Then the fermenter should provide all aseptic conditions at the time of sample withdrawal and addition of inoculum. Then next characteristic is it should have the provision and control over the various operations like pH, temperature, agitations, aerations, etc., and it may have facilities for monitoring all the conditions. Not to forget, the vessel must be strong enough to withstand the pressures and toxicity of the media. Apart from that, the fermenter must have the facility of the incorporations of the sterile air and stirring. It should provide all facilities for the intermittent addition of antifoaming agents, alkali or acid and other nutrients. It should be designed in such a way that it consumes less power, has less evaporation, can be used for the long periods of operation, and has proper sampling facilities. Next characteristic is it should have the additional inoculum seed or the media tanks. And at last, it should have the facility for complete removal of broth from the tank and should be easy to clean. So this is all about in detail the fermentation technology. There are the different component of it, and in detail downstream processing we had seen. In next presentations, which we will elaborate the production of different types of vitamins, antibiotics, etc.